What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from the quartering, and the USAID debacle is far worse than we originally imagined. Sure, yesterday we talked about, well, why were they giving money to Politico? That seems odd. Why was the U.S. government giving money to the BBC? That seems odd. Politico, of course, was the first to run the story that ran interference for President Joe Biden's son and his computer and all the terrible things that were found on that. I'm sure that was just a coincidence. Now the Associated Press was named this morning. The Associated Press took a significant amount of money from USAID. The Associated Press is used to fact check on YouTube. The Associated Press also wrote many hit pieces against alternative media. That's just a tiny bit of what we're going to discuss in today's video. Millions of dollars now have been unleashed to the public. Now, people are doing their searches, but let's give Crowder his flowers here first. It looks like Steven Crowder is breaking that the Associated Press took government money from Joe Biden and then ran hit pieces on alternative media platforms. So they ran these things to help YouTube out. By the way, if you haven't yet, or if you haven't in a long time, download the Rumble app, the Mean Green website. Anytime I say this word, these videos get whatever, memory hold. I do a live stream there every single day at 1 Eastern. Follow my account, The Quartering. I'm close to 300,000 followers. The site is alive. They've got gaming. They've got all sorts of stuff like that. If nothing else, just watch my live stream there. Obviously, I have a Quartercast, which is a YouTube co-stream of it, but I really prefer you watch at least the live stream on Rumble. And this is why. Listen to what Crowder reveals.
Let's go to AP, Associated Press. They're considered very legitimate. A lot of people in this industry use their newswire. 2024, government dollars, we don't know how much came from USAID. Right now, the total, though, in taxpayer dollars, $1.7 million. So some of those dollars come from the State Department, DOD. It is hard to track. This is just what we know now. And by the way, I'm willing to bet that they are physically burning hard drives.
Yeah.
Now, again, it makes sense when you see, hey, AP, were they fighting for a free press? Were they fighting for independent journalists? Or
good question.
Were they part of the cabal silencing us, you, the American people, while stealing from you? Think about that. They stole your money to silence you.
There was this basically alternative reality that was put into place by these media outlets that were taking your money. So essentially, we were paying to be deceived. Now listen to this.
Some AP headlines during this time, while government funded. Anonymous users are dominating right-wing discussions online. They also spread false information. And of course, that leads to always demanding they be removed. RNC's live streaming partner, Rumble, for the GOP debate is a haven for disinformation and extremism. So think about this for a second.
Now, by the way, if you go to Rumble, well, I don't consider my videos, extreme. If we went to, I don't know, live gaming, here's hundreds of people streaming video games. Shatterline, I don't know what game that is, Alien versus Predator, Elden Ring. I mean, there are pages and pages and pages of people streaming video games right now. There are homesteading channels. There's music. There's news, obviously. There's podcasts. There's 211,000 people right now listening to podcast category, which of course has many shows in it. Trending news. You can have that. But there's also 30,000 people watching TV channels. 3,000 people watching entertainment. Thousands listening to music. Those are just the live channels, right? So it's nonsense that, and by the way, obviously I have a special affinity to this because I live stream every single day on that website, and I don't think anything that I say is disinformation or extreme.
Sites, these publications are used for YouTube fact-checking. People get throttled. People get demonetized. Popular people you choose to watch. They go to an alternative. Remember, people used to, libertarians, go build your own YouTube. Okay, very expensive, multi-billion-dollar endeavor. Rumble, the people funded by the government say, gotta ban that too. It's not enough for you to go build your own sandbox. They have to bomb everyone else's sandbox. And the bombs are funded by your tax dollars.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Why, you have all these problems getting these websites that compete. I mean, remember Parler? Here's some more things the USAID has been spending money on. USAID has been unaccountable for decades, run by bureaucrats with agendas who believe they answer to nobody. $7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. 8 million of your taxpayers, if you're an American citizen. If you're watching from Canada or the UK, I'm sure your government's doing something similar with your tax dollars. $20 million for a Sesame Street show in Iraq. And I have a clip of that show. Now, I don't know what's being said here, but why am I paying for it? Sim Sim Salabim! $20 million of your money. Oh, it actually is Sesame Street, or at least the logo. American taxpayer, give money. Oh. The show is aimed to help young viewers, particularly those in post-war Iraq, to learn essential skills, values, and kindness and cooperation. Cool, they should pay for that. Why do we pay for it? Why? I didn't agree to pay for that. $4.5 million to combat disinformation. Oh, interesting. In Kazakhstan. $1.5 million for art for the inclusion of people with disabilities. $2 million for change surgeries in Guatemala and LGBTQ activism. $6 million to transform digital spaces to reflect feminist democratic principles. $2.1 million to help the BBC, the British broadcast network that's paid for by them. Why I'm giving them money, I don't know. To value the diversity of the Libyan society. $10 million worth of USAID funded meals, which went, of course, to Al-Qaeda linked terror groups. $25 million for Deloitte, I don't know, to promote green transportation, not in America, no, in the country of Georgia. $6 million for tourists in Egypt, $2.5 million to promote inclusion in Vietnam, $16.8 million for a separate inclusion group in Vietnam, $5 million for EcoHealth Alliance, one of the key NGOs funding the bat virus research in that particular lab. $20 million for a group related to a key player in the Russiagate impeachment hoax. $1 million to Armenian LGBTs. $1.3 million to Arab and Jewish photographers. Why? Don't know. $2 million to promote LGBTQ equality through the entrepreneurship in Latin America. $6 million for advancing LGBT issues in priority countries around the world. $6.3 million for men who hook up with men in South Africa. Why do they get money to do that? I don't know. It's literally the devil's purse. Like they're literally spreading wild misinformation. Here's Natalie Winters reporting. Shout out Natalie. Met her at the RNC. Very nice girl.
The problem is systemic in the sense that all the American people get to understand about the billions, if not trillions of taxpayer dollars that we are hemorrhaging to these foreign countries or to these US-based NGOs is like the start date, the end date, and maybe 50-word summary, and who it's going to. And the summary is typically something along the lines of countering disinformation. And the group that it's going to, sometimes it's an undisclosed foreign recipient or undisclosed domestic recipient, and there's nothing we can do to understand who that money's going to. But more precisely, and this was reporting that Raheem Kassam and I had sit over at the National Pulse years ago, we had looked up on Google Maps dozens of the addresses of the so-called, fact-checking grant recipients or the misinformation grant recipients. They're shacks on the side of the road. They're non-existent entities. It is clean and simple, pure and simple money laundering.
Yeah, I mean, it's dark money for whatever the CIA wants it to do. USAID's Samantha Power has now been fired. She claims that people that worked for USAID wanted to make the world a better place. President Trump calls it a criminal enterprise. It is. It's all unraveling. When the Democrats used USAID to do all around the world, they even did it against their own people here in America. Abolish USAID. USAID, according to Trump Jr., is nothing more than a corrupt slush fund for leftist Democrats. No more. That's why they're pushing back. $8 million to Politico. Money to the AP. Money to the BBC. All left-leaning outlets. Did they send any money to Fox News? Seems unlikely. OAN? One America News? Doesn't seem like it. Of course, Democrats saying Elon Musk, the richest man on earth, is dismantling USAID, which feeds the poorest children on earth. No, it doesn't. Luke Rodkowski writes, this idiot thinks spending millions of dollars to teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language is the same as feeding poor children. I mean, this whole thing is bonkers. The next 4 years, buckle up, friends. It's going to be a wild ride. Make sure, if you haven't yet, download Rumble, follow the quartering over there. If you just refuse to and you don't want another app, that's cool. Please follow Quartercast on YouTube. I live stream there every day at 1 Eastern as well. Interesting interview here. Theo Vaughn, by the way. So that'll be linked in the description as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.